This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Welcome to the From Pain to Purpose radio show. I'm your host, Eva Fulton. In this show, we explore the incredible journeys of resilience, healing, and transformation. In each episode, we will sit down with individuals who have faced unimaginable struggles and turned their pain into power, heartbreak into hope, and their challenges into meaningful change and finding new purpose in life. Through candid conversations and inspiring stories, we will uncover how pain, whether emotional, physical, mental, or spiritual, can be the catalyst for profound growth and a deeper sense of purpose. So if you are looking for motivation, insight, and real stories of triumph over adversity, you're in the right place. Let's get started on this journey from pain to purpose. Let's give veterans a voice through Military Broadcast Talk.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Whoops, I guess I ought to realize the mic is not very close to me. Hopefully that sounds a little bit better. Phone is away from the mic, so sometimes there's these little technical things that we have to remember on hosting a radio show. And I'll go ahead and start out by welcoming you all. This is the From Pain to Purpose radio show. My name is Eva Fulton, and today is Saturday, October 18th, the year of our Lord, 2025. And yes, I am sitting here with wet hair. I went on a hike this morning, afternoon, I guess, and did it as fast as I could. I did my 10 miles and it was just a down and back, no heavy pack. And I love being able to get out and move when the weather is cooperating and nice. It's been pretty cool up here in the Northeast lately. So before we get, shut in for the winter, it's nice to be able to get out there and enjoy getting some steps in and just breathing the fresh air. There were not very many people on the trail today. It's a trail that I frequent. It's nice being able to walk down, and I usually treat myself to some kind of seafood lunch or something. Today it was just a little avocado toast, and I have enough to be able to eat for dinner tonight. But it's pretty, it's nice to be able to have a goal that you can work towards and getting those steps in. Just being able to feel good. Still on furlough for those that are tracking that side of things. So yeah, 18 days into furlough. Yesterday I spent a lot of time on the computer, just, piddling, just doing some other stuff that I have on my bucket list or to-do list of things that I've had to do for a while, and just, stopping to do those. So it's nice having some of this extra time, although I'm not used to really having all of this extra time on my hands. But it's okay. I make do with what I can to, fulfill the time, because what else am I going to do? I just make use of it. Idle mind is the devil's playground, right? So if we don't keep ourselves busy, then our minds can kind of start wondering. So I think, you know, if this is that taste of what it's going to be like for retirement, I've already been to the gym 3 times this week, so that felt good. So getting these other things done, you know, are good things that benefit me in the long run. I do have a guest that's supposed to be here and a co-host, so I'm waiting for them to join on. I'm kind of spinning my wheels and kind of trying to delay that time whenever they can come on. But in the meantime, what else have I been doing? Let's see, I put out several podcasts. Well, not several. I guess it was one that kind of rolled up things. If you follow me on the Mighty People Garden podcast, I was able to put out some more content with it. You know, it's interesting when you don't get into some of your, it had been a few weeks, really only just a couple of weeks since I had published a Mighty People Garden podcast on the E-series, the EFX series that I've been doing. But there was an update to my software program, to Adobe. So I had to rebuild all of that, put all of the files back in. So that was a whole afternoon just even doing that before I could pop that, publish that post out. Hopefully y'all are following on the Mighty People Garden podcast. That's where I publish both the From Pain to Purpose in conjunction with the Mighty People Garden podcast. So you will get the content from both shows on the one streaming channel. And, I think I'm getting to a point on the Mighty People Garden podcast that I am going to be looking for some guests. So if you are interested in sharing a neat story of somebody that has affected you in your life, then please reach out to me and let me know. I think the greatest gift we have to be able to help other people, whether it is, on the suicide prevention, or as in October is Mental Health Awareness Month, then it is by us sharing our stories, just like the motto for MBR is to give veterans a voice. This is how we help each other. But I dip into both sides of having faith as that mechanism that has helped me through my journey. But then I have also had, some of these other resources, the network of organizations, the great organizations that are out there doing work. And this is how we, help each other. That is not our story one and done, that we tell our stories that help somebody else, like this guy or that guy or that guy in the helicopter. We can help. And the ladies, right? We can help each other because we tell our stories and realize that we're not navigating the resources all alone. I do, since we have the time, I do want to kind of do a follow-up on my experience with going to the races last week, because that was really just a phenomenal event. I think there were a lot of people who, and maybe I didn't talk to a lot of the guys, admittedly, because a lot of them, they traveled with their wives or girlfriends. And I'm not one of those people that goes and, tries to talk to people in a way. I know that how do I say it carefully? I don't put myself out there in a way in such that somebody's going to interpret that I'm trying to hit on them, because that's not me. So it's interesting in having conversations with people. For some, that is the first time that they have been around veterans since they got out of the military. And hold on, let's see. I don't know if Darrell, you can hear me. No, you're not backstage. I think you are, you're on the wrong one. Sorry, we're trying to get, so Darrell's trying to connect, but he's in the wrong backstage. So we'll get this figured out. But here's the deal, guys. I'm just curious, and I would love it if people would, put comments in, if you're listening. When's the last veteran event that you attended that was not Memorial Day or Veterans Day ceremony? When's the last time you engaged with other veterans of any kind of significance? Because I think that is probably one of the first steps that we all can take. I had somebody reach out to me the other day, and it was a female, and she said, "Hey, Eva, how do I get involved in, some of these things that you're doing? I see you go here, you go there, and, go with these different organizations." And my response was really pretty simple. What are you interested in? Because you don't want to join an organization whose mission doesn't align with something that you're passionate about. So you have to, it's okay to, I'm giving you permission in case nobody else has ever given you permission. I'm giving you permission to go to different veteran groups and see what they're about. See whether it's the culture fits in with something that you want to do, that these people are people you want to hang around, because not all organizations the same. That was, I think, probably one of the biggest culture things for me to understand. When I got out, my family, really, the immediate family and in-laws were not very conducive to understanding me and my military service. Some of the men were, but then they still were not quite used to a woman that had served, in combat, because they had in their minds what combat meant. And it was quite different for them. What my experience was probably compared to some of the people who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I'm not trying to dismiss anything about what my service was about. I'm just saying there are preconceived notions about females being in combat and what that means because of some of their experiences. And, it was, the push was to align me and in some ways kind of deny what, I see your message. Oh, okay. Well, unfortunately, he's not going to be able to join us too. Sorry, I'm texting him. All right, so Darrell's not going to be able to join us after all. Sorry, he is a chaplain, and so just know chaplain duty calls, and that's his priority there. So unfortunately, Darrell will not be able to join us. Sometimes that's how things roll, right? We've got this. Let's see. So where was I? I was getting back to, joining veteran organizations. So I asked this person, what are you interested in? And, there's all kinds of organizations out there. I said, well, you got to, what are you passionate about? And it came down that she was actually passionate about, talking about benefits. And I said, well, if you join the VFW, we do have a need for a benefits officer at our post. And she joined while we were talking on the phone. And so I'm looking forward to seeing her at the meeting on Monday. There's some, and I hear was the justification for I get, why recreate the wheel of trying to do something that already exists? When we have a need, we need the body to fulfill that. And that's kind of a no-brainer, right? You guys get what I'm talking about. It's a no-brainer to do something that is already there's a slot for you. There's no need to start a new nonprofit. The framework and the training is there to help others along the way. So, all right, just join something that's already existing. And hey, we are welcoming, new fresh blood to come in there. And it's, there is a turnover. I think that that's one of the things that many of these, whether they're veteran service organizations or other nonprofits, need to recognize is that there is the business need. It is a very much of a business need to do succession planning, because if we're not doing succession planning and mentoring folks to come in and rise up through the ranks and learn what these roles about, and this is how we have a way to be able to change the culture and remove stigmas, remove poor behaviors, and let people know that, the old days of the smoking and joking are not acceptable for us and for youth. The younger generation wants to have, they are expecting better standards of things, and we've got to be able to be prepared to accept that these changes are here. And that really comes in to what my show is about, From Pain to Purpose, right? That there are growing pains as these generations change and come into standing in leadership roles, that there are going to be growing pains to both, I want to say morph. I think it's probably a good word. Morph the infrastructure of what these organizations are about to meet the needs of the generations that are up and coming. So anyways, that's my 2 cents about that side of things. I think the other 2 cents was getting back to one of the guys that I did talk to with that was the first veteran event that he has seen and integrated on a social level with other veterans since he got out in I think 2017, 2018, somewhere like that. But even still, gosh, that's, 8 years of not being around other veterans and knowing what is the culture. I was really very impressed that everybody was very family oriented. There was no blatant drinking. I mean, they may have been drinking in their, RV or tent or back at the hotel room or something, but that kind of, joking side of things was not there. It was probably one of the most well-run events that I have ever been to. So, Mr. Hess, I'm just giving you some great feedback and letting you know that, man, I really love the Rally for Vets mission and just what you have done with it in the last 5 years. I can't wait to see what the 6th year is going to be like, because, man, it's going to be on fire. So I'm just excited, and I know I've been rambling, guys. Maybe that's just my coming down off of the 10-mile hike on things, but let's go ahead and move into some music with Die Tired. And if you haven't seen, we do have a co-promotion with them, a fundraiser for MBR with Die Tired, and a t-shirt. And let me see if I can go find that link, and I will share it in the chat with you guys, because, man, Die Tired's has been one of my favorite bands since we started seeing some of their videos in here. So anyways, Die Tired, this is The Need to Feed. I'll be right back.
Signed up to fight for freedom. What a price you had to pay. Picture in her helmet, missing family every day. Your Lady Liberty, dressed like G.I. Jane. Some scars we'll never see. She will never be the same. She's a mother, she's a daughter. She's a sister and a friend. Standing tall in that uniform until the very end. When Uncle Sam called, she signed that line to serve. 'Cause you can't spell hero without her. On that old dusty base with the meadows that shine, she's been to hell and back for the stars and the stripes. Your Lady Liberty, dressed like G.I. Jane, and some scars we'll never see, and she will never be the same. She's a mother, she's a daughter, she's a sister and a friend, standing tall in that uniform until the very end. When Uncle Sam called, she signed that line to serve. 'Cause you can't spell hero without her. Yeah, yes. For the ones that didn't make it, we will pause and then we cry. We can still see their smile in every sunrise. She's a mother, she's a daughter, she's a sister and a friend, standing tall in that uniform until the very end. When Uncle Sam called, she signed that line to serve. 'Cause you can't spell hero without her. 'Cause you can't spell hero without her.
Hey, I'm back. And let's see. H, are you joining me or somebody else? Yeah? You don't know?
I'll join you. I ain't scared.
Hey!
No, we have a new guy. Well, I wouldn't say new guy. We have
It's a new old guy.
well, yeah, anyway, so he's
back
came
for
back.
the new season.
Yeah, he's came back, and I was kind of giving him the opportunity if he wanted to jump on. Now, if he jumps on here in the next few minutes or whatever, then I'll jump off and I'll let him roll, because that's how we do it here. But when you said, "Hey, 911, I'm out," oh, he said, "I'm out shopping at the moment. What time?" And I'm like, "Now, like in that now."
It's all right.
It's okay. All right. It's all right. How are you doing? Long time no talk.
I know, right? I was just on your show the other day. Dad watches the local news, and I just, I kind of like tuned out the news. All I do is just kind of, all right, what does the OPM app say? Do I go to work tomorrow or not? Right. I don't worry about a lot of the other news. And he goes, I think they said another week or so. But anyways, it's okay.
Well, when they were talking about that asteroid or that alien ship that was on the way to the, to the country, and my first thoughts was
about that.
yeah, I get around. What can I say? But they kept talking about that, and I'm thinking about, okay, I only got one question.
Uh-huh.
One question is, do I have to go to work tomorrow? It's like I don't know. That's the only thing that get upset with these influencers is because these influencers they sit here and
the side of their mouth.
they talk, and it's like, okay, what are we doing here? Like, what is the call to action? Or are we trying to scare people? Or are we trying to get views? Are we trying to get likes? Like, what are we trying to do? And it's just, it's not being political. It's just throwing it out there. Like, everybody knows that there's I'm not going to call what it is, but it's, there's some protests going on right now. And, my question, and maybe you can explain this to me. Like, okay, we're doing this protest. Let's say that there's a protest over Kellogg's Frosted Flakes, not enough sugar on the Frosted Flakes. So we're going to do a protest. Like, what are we trying to accomplish? There's something that we can accomplish today, and that's what I would talk to you about. We covered a little bit about it on Thursday, but it's still out there, and that's what I would want to talk about. And something that I want to accomplish is this senator from Mississippi, I guess Roger Wick. Okay. So Roger Wicker. Okay. So evidently this plan that he passed and he co-partnered with, he voted for it in 2004 and he voted for it in something. And then this time he didn't vote on it, but he made sure to take pictures with other veterans and stuff like that, and I'm going to tell you,
So here's something that occurred to me when I was hiking a while ago.
Okay.
And I don't know all the specifics, but I probably could do some research and throw it your way, and you could bring it, we could have a different discussion.
Okay.
Out in California, I think that there has been a lawsuit with veterans and not having some of their disability income count so that they could get housing assistance and qualify for the VASH voucher.
Okay.
So you have to think about if we have two income streams that have been merged into one, so they're only offsetting that top difference between the disability and the retirement side. But now, and let's say that person qualifies for housing assistance or other benefit assistance because they are income capped. What does that do when they have two income streams counting and they no longer qualify for that assistance?
It kind of ruins their eligibility.
Yes.
Right. So
I think that is the elephant in the room.
So if that was true, and we don't know, we're just throwing it out there,
theorizing. Yes.
Right. But if that was true, Eva, why wouldn't politicians just be transparency and say, "Hey, look, we want that with the NFL. They don't even do that in the NFL."
Those backroom negotiations and how some of this, I think. So there are states, there are people that we know that have gotten divorced, and in certain states they have to pay alimony, and so some income counts, some income doesn't count. But it depends upon what happens from state to state to state. But then now you're talking about something that's happening on a federal level, then counting those dollars and cents now look different.
Okay.
And how do you normalize what that is and make it equivalent for people living in California versus Florida or Wisconsin or Texas or Maine?
No, right? I get that aspect. I get that aspect. I just wish
I think we have to sometimes be careful what we ask for, because there are unintended consequences that those people may not get the assistance now because they have two income streams.
And that makes sense. And if that was the case,
Why not just say
why not
that?
just say that? Transparency.
Yeah, I get it.
That's the key thing is transparency.
Yeah.
When this administration moved into the White House, that was their thing, was transparency. But one thing that we've learned, and it's with every single president, nothing's changed, no matter what they say on the campaign trail. When they get into office, it's a different ballgame. And we as American people, we need to realize that.
Well, it's a yes and no, because here's the nuts and bolts of it. Even though laws pass, it takes years sometimes for them to actually put it into public administration process. Because you have to write the policy, you have to write now the implementation notice that actually lays out how that federal agency or department is actually going to do it.
You have to get the ingredients for the cake before you can make it, and then after you get the ingredients,
right? But that's been the whole big deal on why the Chevron deference law, that's not law, Chevron, it was the lawsuit, the Chevron lawsuit, and they called it the Chevron deference. So that was one of the Supreme Court ruled on that earlier this year, that said, listen, Congress, you guys have to actually spell out how the agencies or departments are going to enact these laws so that it is not inherent into the department, whether it's the VA, HUD, any of these other federal agencies, National Park Services or TSA. So they can't interpret the rules or the act, the law themselves without the guidance of, what Congress intended. And all of this really stemmed on, there's a lawsuit that was filed with some fishermen that the fishing inspectors, I think it was not FDA, but it was one of those organizations where they said, we're gonna be on your boats and inspect all of your A to Z on fishing, and you're going to pay for our inspectors to be on there. Well, that cut into their profits. We didn't ask for these, inspectors. We didn't ask for, now you're making us do this. Now you're making us do it. You didn't give us the input to actually say we have an issue with your forcing this down our throat.
Yeah, you're inviting yourself.
Right. So And not only inviting themselves, but paying for it too. So that left the whole public comment stuff, period stuff out of the public administration process. So when people, do you ever follow any of the Federal Register notice publications?
I got to be honest with you. I don't follow politics at all.
It's not politics. Oh, okay. This is where federal agencies post notices on what regulations they are planning on putting out there.
Oh, yeah, I don't follow it.
But that is the public comment place where we as citizens can say, no, we disagree with that. It is a way underused part of the public administration process.
Well, yeah, we should probably post that so that everybody gets a voice, because
that's right.
That's the biggest.
That
thing
is part of giving veterans a voice. Yeah, let's say it's the VA publishing something, a regulation on how they're going to do whatever. Well, they publish public comments also. A request for public comments. We have to use our voices and know how to use it. It is not always just through the veteran service organizations or just through our congressmen and senators. We can use our individual voices through the Federal Register notices that are published there.
Yeah, we should definitely post that, because today, I got really excited that I did it, because I can't speak Spanish, but they have this new AI thing now to where you do a video and you can run it through Instagram and you can change it to Spanish. So today I posted a video that a veteran had posted,
Okay.
empowering, get her voice out there. And her name's Shorty. And I posted it and I did it in English and I did it in Spanish. It was awesome, And I'm like, look at that. Send that to your Spanish teacher. Tell her to eat her heart out, She was like, that's awesome because I can't speak Spanish. The only thing that I can say in Spanish is "Bano."
Okay.
Yeah. So, but,
I learned quite a bit of Spanish, especially traveling in Spain. So
right. But I figured, honestly, because I still think the whole political spectrum is, a little active drama. I'm still figuring that all of this will be past. They're waiting for like Veterans Day, so that they can say that they did something on Veterans Day.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be, or some variation of it, whatever they end up negotiating with. You might be right because they like the drama of
they do. They eat that shit up.
Well, I know, I get it. The hard part, I'm on the organizing committee for Veterans Day and our hands are tied. We're not able to do anything to organize it and prepare for Veterans Day. I struggled. We did stuff during COVID that we hadn't ever done before.
Right.
I'm concerned, that whatever ceremony we had in Memorial Day was it for the year. Because doing those productions is not easy. I mean, we do a real huge hour-and-a-half long ceremony. It's got all of the pomp and circumstance and keynote speaker and everything. We have the old guard scheduled to come and perform, but we may have to cancel. Yeah.
COVID, as much as COVID hurt a lot of people, I think COVID helped empower a lot of people too.
Oh, sure.
Because like before COVID, it was just a little rinky-dink audio, and NBR then started doing like the video and stuff. And like now, everybody's on fire, with like doing the video, doing the interviews, getting the resources out, getting people more connected with resources. I mean, I talked to you about this before, and I don't think like the veteran suicides have completely like went to zero. We both know that, and I don't think veteran.
No, I think those are the Disney numbers. Here's why I say that. Even on the homelessness, and they think that the numbers are going down from there. I could show you places across the country where they are not counting the homeless numbers at all. Okay. Houston does not report that. There's a whole Houston swath from the Gulf Coast, Houston, up through Middle Texas. Yeah. I've looked at the Texas homelessness page and what areas are counted. If you can't say the numbers are going down, except by the fact that they are not reporting them.
I see.
So if there are places that are not reporting the numbers, or if they're not identifying that they are veteran in those counts, then that's going to skew the numbers. That's been an issue even with the crime data across the country. And I've done research on that even in my PhD program.
Yeah, and that makes sense because I see that they have numbers that they're coming up with, like errors for like the census and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, I'll admit,
we can't even get the voting rolls right. We still have people who are 150 years old on the voter rolls. I've seen the data. I did that in my second master's program. It was a Master of Arts in Public Leadership. I have seen voter rolls in Pennsylvania that there were hundreds of people that were 120 years old. It's like, wow, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
I've seen 120 guy, but he was on TikTok, and I don't know if that was AI or not. So I haven't met anybody that's over 104, 104. But yeah, anything I guess is possible. But yeah, 120. I know exactly where you come from.
Yeah.
I just I wish I'd like to hear positive news. I don't really want to hear like the negative news and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I just wish they come out and say, hey, you know what? We're doing better. The only thing that I know is here in Colorado, and I was talking to Mohawk about this here in Colorado. When I'm looking around and stuff, I see less Colorado veterans like depressed or talking about taking their life, and I think
So
I think
you
that's
think it's improving?
I think it might be improving just a little bit, and this is the reason why I
Okay.
think that. What other than MBR, what other platform right now is like skyrocketing? Every time you go on there, they're always doing a live. They're always, people are always talking. It's like a group session, and of course, there's going to be drama. I mean, there's drama in the hospital, but every time you go on a live, just scroll through TikTok, there's always people talking, and they might not have like a show like here on MBR, but the important thing is that you're getting the veteran talking, because if the veteran's talking, he's not thinking, and that is where that's where the disconnect comes. Is you start thinking, and what do us? And you don't even have to be a veteran. I think everybody does this.
You get into the overthinking.
We get into overthinking, and we start doubting ourselves, and then we start second guessing ourselves, and we start thinking that we're worthless or that we can't do
It's
this.
because an idle mind is a devil's playground. Why do you think as privates they kept us busy doing stuff?
Yeah.
Because they knew that an idle mind was a devil's playground, that we were going to be missing home, that we were going to be missing the burger back home, that we were going to be missing the girlfriend or the boyfriend back home. An idle mind is a devil's playground.
That's true.
Nothing has changed. So if people are wallowing in that misery, in that from pain to purpose thing that I talk about with the 4 pillars on the chair, when one of those legs starts weakening, then we start having more problems. Right. I was talking to a health coach yesterday for an hour. He said he uses 10 pillars.
Oh, wow.
I know. I was like, man, really? That's a lot. I mean, because I think a lot of people, they do good with remembering 3 or 4, not trying to think
I was going to say,
10.
Does he have a cue card?
He had a whole list. He was listing out a whole bunch of them. But as he was listing them out, I was like, okay, those 2 fall under physical. Those 2 fall under mental. He was giving some of the subcategories their own individual, but that to me ends up being like too many balls you're trying to juggle.
He turned Cliff Notes into a novel.
Yeah. We got to keep it simple.
You really do. You really do, because, we failed to realize that everybody's not mentally the same stability as we ourselves are. And that's everybody. Just like we failed to realize, like when we go to a hotel or go to like a shopping mall, we're thinking, okay, well, the internet's going to be just as good or strong as what we have at our house. And then when you get to the mall or you get to the hotel, you're like, oh, this internet's cricket, this sucks. But we don't think about that. We don't think about that because we're too much in our own bubble, and we're just we're worried about us, and and when we go out into society and somebody accidentally like, hey, it happens when you're driving a blind spot. You pull in, a little into the lane, and the person like waits until you hit them, and if you don't hit them, then they honk the horn, and it's like, really?
Oh, they wait for it. They know
They
the
wait for it. They're like,
scam
oh,
on wait for it.
I just want to, And
I accidentally rear-ended somebody in downtown Fort Worth a while back, and she took it to lawsuit. And her mother was even in the deposition thing, right, to meet with. And my insurance gave me an attorney, and her insurance was there with an attorney, and her mom walked out. So it was barely, you're downtown areas, you can't go very fast downtown, and those lights change, right?
Right.
So I had an issue with my contact at the time, and she stopped like 20 feet before the line at the intersection. So she knew that I was behind her. She stopped way early, but I barely tapped. The picture, she said, of what the damage was on the corner of the bumper. No. Really? Her mom got disgusted with her if she was pulling one of those scams.
Yeah.
And, we've even seen those videos on Facebook or TikTok where people, I saw the one several weeks ago where they got out, they crossed lanes, stopped, and then backed into the person.
And, the bad thing is like, and that's like almost all of society.
They do things on purpose. They design it to fail.
Not only do they do things on purpose, but they do things and they don't realize how it affects other people. And the sad thing about it, and it just goes clear today. I especially with like the Richard Starr Act that I was talking about.
Yeah.
Unless it affects you in some way or some form, you're not really going to support it. I always make a joke about this. Okay. And, I hope I don't offend anybody, but like, I don't know if I don't know in today's society if you call it little people or midget, but just hear me out. I don't have anybody in my family that are midgets or little people. Okay.
Okay.
So I don't. So
you're not. It's not about whether trying to be politically correct or not. I
don't follow midget wrestling. Okay, I don't follow midget wrestling. I don't go watch midget wrestling. Because I don't have any friends or family that are midgets. But if I did have,
you can't appreciate it, right?
Right, exactly. And I think sometimes we need to understand that. Like before I started the whole nonprofit thing, I used to get so mad when I went somewhere and they didn't donate to my nonprofit. And I realized that there's so many nonprofits out there that each nonprofit, I mean, it's like a logo. They're all the same to somebody else. It's not going to mean as much to them as it does you, because you're the one that lives it. You're the one that supports it.
Right.
But what you can do, and I strongly encourage every nonprofit, everybody to do this, is instead of selling them the idea of donating to the nonprofit, embrace them with the nonprofit, show them, hey, look, this is what we got doing, encourage them. Hey, look, check this out. This is what I just did. This is what we're bringing. Look at how we're growing. If you tend to grow with people, then people, they get excited about that. And the reason why I've learned that is because like, when I went to Sochi, Russia, and I don't talk about this very much, but when I went to Sochi, Russia,
okay,
for the Paralympics.
Oh, okay, that's right.
When I went to Sochi, Russia for the Paralympics, like I would share my journey. I would share with friends and family, like okay, I did this tweet. I just opened up Twitter. I had like maybe 30 followers. I did one tweet, and the next thing I know, I've got like 5 million tweets. And I'm like, oh shit, I gotta be careful what I post now, you know, because what I'm saying is actually going across the pond, you know.
Right.
When you're on that platform, you have to worry about what you're saying, because you know you could really damage some you know, community relations and stuff, you know. Turn it into a Denver Bronco and Jets game where you're putting the whole London football experience on backload for 25 years. Oh, that was a terrible game. I slept through the first quarter. But you know, it's really important that you engage with people and you inform them and have them be a part of that journey, you know, because nobody wants to be on a journey by themselves. And when you're on that journey, I mean, every single day something comes out with like MBR, the coloring pages, you know, like the IMDb that, you know, we're creating.
Right.
I bring that up to the hosts and the DJs in the forum so that they see that we're growing, you know,
Right.
and they get excited because we're getting excited. So I just strongly encourage that to everybody.
You know, there's a sneak thing, a sneak release on this. Darrell and I are working on a new show.
Yes, yeah.
We're working on a new show. We're so excited about it. So just but I dropped a couple of links out here, folks.
Yes.
Yeah, you want to talk about these?
Sure,
the first one is the, where did it go? Reads Across America. Talk about that.
So the Reads Across America, you know, I don't know how many people have loved ones that have died, and you know, I have a battle buddy that I go to every single Christmas. I go to his grave. I actually have it like written down. I got 3 battle buddies, and me and my wife, we always go to those battle buddy graves. And I even tell everybody, hey, look, you know, I'm already there. Send me your veterans thing, you know, because sometimes people just can't make it to that gravestone.
I know.
You know?
Yeah.
Sometimes people do not live in that same area. And, you know, my friend Joe Adams, his sister Casper, she's in Florida. And she's not going to fly all the way there to lay a wreath down. And I don't blame her. I mean, you just don't do that. But what I do is, you know, she buys a wreath, and I go, and not only do I put a quarter on the gravestone, but I also like do a salute. Mark, who does Freedom Chat every Sunday, he plays little taps and stuff. And we give kind of like a military honors to that veteran. And it's really nice when, you know, you pay $17 for a wreath, and somebody, you might not know them, but somebody is going to play taps. Somebody's going to do some kind of honors for your veteran at that gravestone. And for $17, I mean, we're not talking about like Uber Eats or anything here. We're going to send them a picture and stuff. And, you know, it's nice because not only did you take care of your veteran, but, you know, that veteran, he's still alive upstairs. You know, he's looking. He sees how much he's loved. He sees how much of, you know, when he died, how much of a purpose, you know, you're keeping his.
It wasn't off or not. We're saying
Yeah.
their names. Yeah, we're saying their names.
Yeah.
We got 3 minutes left, which
Okay,
really is
all right.
like
I'll make
1
this-
minute. Got
I'll
1
make-
minute. Talk about
1 minute.
Die Tired real
Die
fast.
Tired. It is mental month. It's mental health month. Die Tired. It's when you live for something so much that you just die tired from him, you know. Singing and looking at the duck, it is a win-win. We did collaboration because, you know, we want to remind everybody that everybody goes through a hard time. It's okay not to be okay, but just keep on looking at that duck. Look at that smile, and remember, everybody, just like a duck, you can weather any storm.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why we joined forces with Die Tired. It's an amazing band.
I've been playing them since I
hell yeah.
started. You know, I really love them. And there's a new guy that I heard yesterday. that I have to see. He produced his music AI. It's not an actual band, but it's his words.
Right.
I might see if I can. I'll be having him on as a guest as well.
There we go.
Maybe with me and Darrell. The other thing I wanted to go ahead and pop up is my schedule. I do have a schedule coming up. So Bryce Hanson's coming up on October 25th. Ricky Ritchie, November 1st. I'm supposed to do a remote again on November 8th. We'll see how that works. Brian Gibson on November 15th and Doug Peterson, November 22nd.
Is Brian Gibson related to Debbie Gibson?
I doubt it.
Okay. All right. Just checking.
Yeah. So I've got most of all November booked. I am working on a few other people and
that's fantastic. And I tell you what, you should try to. There's some DJs that are trying to come Christmas time.
Oh, yeah.
December 3rd. We're doing the Christmas baskets for the veterans. You should try to come out there, Eva.
Out there to Colorado.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You know, I have a cousin and my brother live out there in the Denver area. And
There
my
you go.
former brother-in-law actually lives in northern Denver.
There you go. There's an excuse. Come on out.
We'll see.
Let's have some fun.
We'll see. I'm already booked for Christmas back in Texas. I haven't seen my kids since July. So anywho, anyways, for some reason, Roku is having an issue.
Probably because we're somebody's probably, it's probably that time.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. So I'll be back next week live. Thanks for saving the day, Joel, having you on. Great conversation. Yeah. And everybody, hope you all have a blessed week. Till next time.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.